Let's do a big round of applause one more time for the
World Press Freedom Celebration and GJ Honors Night. Today, we join the international community in marking World Press Freedom Day, a moment of solemn reflection and resolute celebration. It is a day on which we affirm once more the foundational role of free, independent, and responsible media in sustaining democratic governance, social cohesion, and inclusive development. Since its proclamation by the United Nations in 1993, World Press Freedom Day has served as a global reminder of the fundamental principle of free press freedom. This annual observance serves not just as a moment of reflection, but as a reminder, a call to action to defend one of democracy's most sacred pillars, a free and independent press. This year's theme, reporting in the brave new world, the impact of artificial intelligence on press freedom and the media, speaks to both the boundless promise and uncertainties of our time. It challenges us to confront the transformative role of artificial intelligence in shaping not only how we consume news, but how we define truth, uphold ethics, and preserve the freedoms that underpin journalism. Artificial intelligence, by its very design, is neutral. It can be harnessed to enhance efficiency, to uncover patterns that empower investigative journalism, and to broaden access to information in unprecedented ways. Already, AI is assisting newsrooms in real-time translation, personalized content delivery, and advanced data analysis. Yet, with such promise comes a peril. We have seen the rise of deepfakes, algorithmic bias, automatic disinformation campaigns, and the disturbing use of surveillance technologies. In the hands of repressive regimes or unscrupulous actors, AI can become a tool of censorship, misinformation, and intimidation. The brave new world we enter must not be one where machines are weaponized to silence truth. Ladies and gentlemen, we are called upon to provide leadership that is both visionary and vigilant. We must ask ourselves, how do we protect press freedom in an era where artificial intelligence is reshaping the media landscape? And how do we ensure that technology advances our values rather than eroding them? I firmly believe that the answer lies in balance, a deliberate and inclusive approach to innovation that upholds the principles of transparency, accountability, and human dignity. We must develop national and regional AI governance frameworks that protect press freedoms, safeguard personal liberties, and promote the ethical use of emerging technologies. We must invest in the capacity of media institutions to adapt to change without compromising on journalistic integrity. This includes equipping journalists with the tools and knowledge to understand AI systems, critically interrogate algorithmic content, and counter synthetic media with verified facts. Equally important is the role that international cooperation plays. No single country can regulate the digital ecosystem alone. We must engage multilaterally to establish global norms that protect journalists from online harassment, surveillance, and data exploitation. We must speak with one voice and defend the press. We must not forget that the battle for press freedom is not new. It has always required vigilance, sacrifice, and courage. What is new in the terrain is this digital age, and we must not only fight for freedom to speak, but for the freedom to be heard accurately, fairly, and without distortion. On this World Press Freedom Day, I salute all our nation's journalists who, despite mounting pressure and evolving challenges, continue to illuminate the path of democracy with courage and purpose. Your work is essential, my dear journalists. Your voice matters. Your integrity safeguards our liberty. Let us commit to building a media ecosystem where artificial intelligence becomes a partner in progress, not a pillar of oppression. Let us strive to ensure that truth is neither drowned by noise of algorithms nor diminished by the silence of fear. The media, as a fourth estate, holds a sacred responsibility not just to report, but to lead. In a time where retaliatory politics and extreme partisanship threatens the soul of our democracy, Ghanaians are yearning for a new narrative, one that builds rather than breaks, and one that unites rather than divides. Whilst I'm not against accountability, I dare say that the culture of retaliatory politics and political vengeance must end, and the media must be bold to lead this. You must not echo the bitterness of the extremists in the political space, but challenge it. We must put an end to the division and the bitterness of the past. Be the conscience of our nation. Champion a new Ghana, one where governments are judged not by how hard they crush their opponents, but by how well they serve their people within their tenure. The path forward depends on your courage and boldness. Thank you for listening to me. Long live Ghana Journalists Association. Long live our nation, Ghana. May God make our nation great and strong. Thank you so much.
Of the diplomatic corps, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great joy to be able to attend this important event for the first time, both as a representative of the President and in my own capacity as Minister of State for Government Communications. Let me first extend warm felicitations and greetings from the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, himself a prominent member of the Ghana Journalists Association, on the occasion of this year's World Press Freedom Day. His Excellency would very much have loved to be part of this program, but he has had to be away on an unavoidable assignment. It is both an honor and a great responsibility to stand before you today on a day when the world pauses to reflect on one of democracy's most vital pillars, press freedom. We gather at a time of considerable hope, following a period of hard-earned reputation as a regional leader in press freedom. Unwarranted attacks on journalists, closure of some media houses, and an atmosphere of intimidation contributed to this precipitous decline. These incidents were deeply regrettable and must serve as a reminder that the protection of journalists is not optional, but rather a sacred constitutional duty. This moment, therefore, calls for both cautious optimism and solemn reflection, an opportunity to reckon with the circumstances that precipitated this decline. It is a time to reaffirm our commitment to the principles of democratic accountability and to recognize that the health of our republic depends, in no small measure, on the freedom and safety of those who speak truth to power. It is also a moment for us to evaluate our preparedness to confront the challenges of disinformation and misinformation, especially with the emergence of artificial intelligence. A free, independent, and responsible press remains our first line of defense against the distortion of truth and the erosion of public trust. As we confront these evolving challenges, we in government recognize the need to invest in building a resilient media ecosystem, not only by discharging our limited regulatory roles fairly and impartially, but also by supporting journalists in their pursuit of truth and upholding the standards that protect the integrity of public discourse. This is the complementary nature of our roles in protecting press freedom. Let me be clear, ladies and gentlemen, at its core, press freedom is not a privilege bestowed by any government, nor is it a license for the deliberate distortion of facts, the sacrifice of truth, or the malicious sowing of distrust in our public space. It is a fundamental right firmly enshrined in the 1992 Constitution of Ghana and anchored in the democratic principles that underpin every just and progressive society. This freedom exists not for convenience, but for purposes of empowering citizens with accurate information, holding persons who exercise the authority of state to account, and fostering informed civic engagement. It must therefore be exercised with a deep sense of responsibility, integrity, and respect for the rights of others to be informed. Only then can it serve its highest function, that is, strengthening the fabric of our society rather than fraying it. The media's responsibility is not to serve power. Too often, when we make this assertion, our focus narrows exclusively to the governments and those who wield the powers of the states. And rightly so. It is not the media's role to serve government or its agents. But let us be clear. To serve special interests, corporate influence, or any agenda other than the truth is also to serve power. If we should truly uphold media freedom, we must broaden our understanding of media independence to recognize that true press freedom exists only when the obligation to resist power includes not just the state, but all forces that seek to shape public discourse for ends other than revealing the truth. The quality of any democracy is directly tied to the vibrancy of its media, and the vibrancy of our media is tied to the guarantees of freedom and safety of media actors. That is just one part of it. It is also tied to the standards of fairness and accountability that actors in the media exert on themselves. When these are lacking, democracies decline, not gradually, but rapidly and painfully. Ladies and gentlemen, you will all agree with me, in our time, the threat to press freedom is no longer just censorship. It is disinformation, deliberate, well-orchestrated, and increasingly intricate. In Ghana, for instance, we have learned the power of false narratives to trigger discord, deepen polarization, and manipulate public perception. Disinformation is not just confusing. It has grown to be a tool used to control people, used to control what people think and how they act. It undermines trust in institutions and erodes the public's ability to discern truth from manipulation. What begins simply as a meme or a voice note in a WhatsApp group can spiral into all sorts of problems, including even violence. The reach of disinformation is being supercharged by another force, artificial intelligence. AI has no friends, no enemies, and no fear, unless it is trained to have them. Its potential to revolutionize journalism is undeniable, accelerating workflows, refining data analysis, and broadening access to information. But without a journalist anchored in fairness, credibility, and ethical judgment, AI risks becoming a force that undermines the very freedoms it could support. In the absence of human oversight, it can just as easily distort truth as it illuminates it. Across the world, AI is already producing news broadcasts, generating articles, and even impersonating voices and faces. It will not be too long before this technology becomes commonplace in Ghanaian newsrooms. And when it does, we face a profound dilemma. AI is a tool neutral by design, but its impact depends on the values and intentions of those who wield it, just like power. Without a vigilant journalist to guide its use, AI risks reinforcing biases, spreading misinformation, or amplifying undemocratic tendencies under the guise of efficiency. It presents unmatched efficiency, incredible processing speed, and the ability to reduce human error. But this very efficiency poses a risk too. The faster we move, the easier it becomes to overlook scrutiny, accountability, nuance, and context. When speed overtakes deliberation and automation replaces ethical judgment, the risk is not just error, it is abuse. In the race for productivity, we must not sacrifice the principles that guard truth, context, and public trust. We must collectively get our loins in readiness to confront this dilemma. Ladies and gentlemen, the passage of the Right to Information Act, alongside other institutional reforms, has created new opportunities for credible access to information within our media landscape. These developments have amplified diverse voices and perspectives, thereby deepening democratic participation and enhancing civic engagement. Yet, in recent years, our nation has witnessed deeply troubling incidents that undermine the safety and independence of the press. From the storming of media houses by activists affiliated with political parties, to the assault of journalists covering public events, and most tragically, the brutal murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Hussein Swale, an atrocity that regrettably remained unresolved for many years. Let me assure you that these acts of impunity will not define our future. This government is resolute in its commitment to concluding investigations into the murder of Ahmed Swale and ensuring that justice is served. I must place it on record also that we remain unwavering in our commitment to protecting journalists and upholding their constitutional freedoms. The future of press freedom in Ghana cannot be a pendulum that swings with political cycles. It must be grounded in law, safeguarded by civic vigilance, nurtured by a culture of transparency, and a balance between rights and responsibilities. Under the leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the government is an investment in professional development. We remain committed to supporting fair labor practices, enhancing training opportunities, and rolling out policy reforms that promote sustainability, safety, and innovation across the media sector. On this World Press Freedom Day, let us reaffirm our shared belief in a democratic Ghana where journalists can work without fear, where technology serves to elevate the truth, and where the media remains a pillar of our republic. The President pledges his full support to the cause of press freedom and the advancement of a vibrant, empowered, and protected media landscape in Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, I would be remiss if I fail to acknowledge the contributions of the many illustrious stalwarts of Ghanaian journalism who have been deservingly awarded today. If today, media practice in Ghana has become commonplace and carried out in an atmosphere of freedom, then it is down to the dedication and commitment of these individuals who were prepared to defend media freedoms, sometimes even at the perils of their lives. Let me also extend a hearty congratulations to the winner of the Journalist of the Year award for his well-deserved recognition. I say ayiko to all awardees, and I thank you all for your kind attention.